DS9's Star Trek sets were cooler than Voyager's, but not for the reason you think. For decades, Star Trek fans have debated the aesthetics of the franchise's many ships and stations. Was the sleek, starship-bound elegance of Voyager cooler than the gritty, industrial maze of Deep Space Nine? On the surface, it might seem like Voyager, with its cutting-edge design and futuristic Federation tech, would take the crown. After all, the USS Voyager was a state-of-the-art Intrepid-class vessel, brimming with sleek corridors, advanced holodecks, and glowing LCARS panels. But in truth, Deep Space Nine sets were cooler, and not because of fancy technology or visual polish. They were cooler because of what they represented: atmosphere, identity, and a tangible sense of place that no other Star Trek series had quite achieved before. When Star Trek Deep Space Nine premiered in 1993, it was immediately clear that this wasn't another Starship series. Gone were the pristine white walls of the Enterprise D, replaced by dark metal corridors, asymmetrical architecture, and alien control panels with orange lighting and Byron script. The station was Cardassian in origin, and the show never tried to hide that fact. DS9 didn't just look different, it felt different. It was mysterious, lived in, and even slightly menacing. You could almost feel the cold steel and recycled air of a place that had changed hands too many times. What made DS9 set so cool wasn't the scale or the budget. Voyager arguably had more both, but the mood they created. The art direction leaned into the idea that this was a frontier outpost at the edge of civilization. There was something evocative about that, a constant reminder that DS9 existed at the crossroads between peace and chaos. Its design embodied the show's tone, morally complex, politically charged, and grounded in a realism that Voyager's cleaner environment never fully embraced. In Voyager, every corridor and console screamed Federation efficiency. It was a ship designed for exploration, bright, symmetrical, and logical. There was comfort in that, but also predictability. The bridge was polished, the mess hall cozy, the crew quarters neatly arranged. Everything was standardized, reflecting Starfleet's idealistic control over its environment. Deep Space Nine, in contrast, was perpetually in flux. The sets were purposefully weird, curved walls that didn't match human ergonomics, alien shapes jutting from consoles, a promenade that felt like a bazaar of cultures. DS9's aesthetic forced the characters and the audience to live in a place that wasn't theirs, a visual metaphor for the show's exploration of coexistence. That alien design sensibility is what made DS9 so distinctive. The station wasn't just a backdrop, it was practically a character. The promenade, for instance, was one of the most ambitious Star Trek sets ever built. Multi-level, full of moving parts, shops, and cultural details, it was alive with background activity. You could wander the upper decks, stop at Quark's bar, peer into the Byron Temple, or watch a group of Ferengi haggle over a deal. The promenade made DS9 feel like a real place, somewhere people actually live, not just a setting for weekly adventures. Voyager, by contrast, was built for isolation. The ship's design mirrored its premise, a small crew far from home, relying on the familiar to survive. Its sets were clean, consistent, and repetitive, perfect for Starfleet, but less dynamic on screen. Voyager's corridors could blur together after a few episodes. While every section of DS9 had personality, the Ops Center had that distinctive multi-tiered structure. Quark's bar glowed with warm, shady energy. The Habitat Ring's quarters had just enough irregularity to feel alien. What's more, DS9 used lighting in a radically different way. Where Voyager was brightly lit and optimistic, DS9 was shadowy, moody, and full of contrasts. It reflected the darker storytelling tone that defined the series: political intrigue, war, and moral grayness. The dim corridors weren't just aesthetic, they matched the themes. When Sisko or Odo paced the station's darker corners, it felt cinematic, like a noir mystery unfolding in space. Voyager was bright and hopeful, but DS9 had atmosphere that pulled you in. Another overlooked aspect of DS9's set design was its flexibility. As the show evolved, so did the station. By the Dominion War era, Starfleet tech and Cardassian design began to merge, symbolizing how the Federation had adapted to its new reality. New sets were built: the Defiant Bridge, the Wardroom, the Infirmary, all of which integrated the visual vocabulary of DS9's alien aesthetic. This evolution made the station feel organic, constantly changing as the characters did. That adaptability is something Voyager lacked. Because the ship had to reset each week after its journey to a new quadrant, its sets stayed largely static. The USS Voyager had to remain a stable home for its crew, and visually, that meant minimal change. DS9, however, thrived on change. You could feel the weight of time in every panel and corridor, the legacy of the Cardassians, the spirit of the Bajorans, and eventually, the Federation's